Welcome, everybody. This is Ann Backrack. Welcome to approximately 54 action-packed, thought-provoking minutes built around the 6 tips for getting more clients without working harder. Wow, that certainly sounds good, doesn't it? Well, the webinar is recorded and you will be able to review it again as many times as you like. Feel free to ask questions by typing your question into the question area in the control panel that you see. And a special thank you to InsuranceWebX Insider for hosting this web class. I'm honored and glad to be with you today to share some ideas that I think will help you be even more successful, so whatever that is for you. Make sure that you have some paper, pencil, pen, computer, tablet, whatever method works best for you to take any action idea notes that you hear today or that comes into your head. All right, let's get started. So we're going to be exploring these 4 areas in our time together today. So the 4 tips for sticking to your goals, the 8 ideas to help you work smarter, not harder, 6 tips for getting more clients without working harder, and what it takes to be on top and stay on top. So in order for you to get more clients without working harder, I think it's important that we start with the 4 tips to actually sticking to your goal. So we're laying the foundation, in other words. We've all been there before. We find a goal that inspires us and we commit to doing the work. Well, until something in our life derails us. Whether it was perhaps that vacation, your assistant suddenly quits, an unfortunate death in the family or someone that you know. The truth is, life sometimes distracts us from achieving our goals. So dealing with disruption is one thing, and then getting back on track is another. So tip number 1 for sticking to your goals and getting back on track after life has distracted us is to focus on the reward, not the work. Now, you're human. We're all human. Sometimes you lose your motivation in the middle of having to do, quote, the work. So if you're losing your motivation, switch your focus on the reward. Focus on the good feelings of having accomplished that task or your goal and how much easier it will be next time because you've broken through another limiting belief. There's a great quote, I don't know who to attribute this to. It says, "We only learn our limits by going beyond them." Tip number 2. The have-tos sometimes turn into the want-tos. Well, the work involved with achieving goals can feel like, I have to do this in the beginning, but they often turn into, I want to do this by the end of the actual process. They become a positive habit, a healthy way of being, in other words, while the work part eventually just kind of melts away. This happens because it's not always about the end result. It's about the person you become as a result of the actual process. So when you learn a new way of living, a way of living that better represents and supports your true potential, things that used to be have to transform into, yay, I want to. Charles Jaffe has a great quote. I love quotes. Conquer your bad habits or they will conquer you. Tip number 3, it's who you become in the process. So it's my belief that the person you woke up as today probably will not and probably may not be the person you wake up as tomorrow or the day after that or next week or 5 years from now or even 10 years from now. While it's possible to predict exactly who you'll be in the future, It's a safe bet that you will not be the exact same person that you are today. And actually, I think this is a good thing. So life is a process of constant change and transformation. My husband has a great quote. He says, if comfort is your goal, success is not in your future. One of the advisors in our program liked that so much, he was the coach of a basketball team and put that on the back, that quote on the back of all their shirts. So I thought that was interesting. And then he sent us each one. So I thought he liked it that much. He actually put it on a t-shirt that the kids wore. Each day we learn more about ourselves, which results in greater clarity of our true desires. So the path between where we are and where we want to be becomes more clear and focused, creating a deep and focused desire to see the whole process through. So setting goals and the work involved with achieving them is not so much about the end result as much as a deep and often indefinable desire to fulfill our greatest potential, to grow, to expand, to become all that we actually can be. I hear so many times that people say, yeah, I still have more potential. I still know I can reach my true potential. We just did a 3-day event, and we had, out of the 80 people that were there was one gentleman who was 81 years old, still learning and growing and expanding his mind because he believes he has more potential. We had two 70-somethings there as well. That blew my mind. So I believe that a great investment is one where we invest in our own potential. So the person that you end up becoming by the end of a journey, the process of goal setting and achieving is most definitely a journey, is not the same person who actually started that journey. Achieving goals teaches you that you had what it took to achieve something you maybe weren't sure that you could actually in the very beginning. Can everybody hear me? I have a few people saying they don't have any audio. I just want to make sure if you could just say yes, yes, yes. Okay, great. Perfect. Thank you. The process teaches you that you had more than you thought. Maybe you had more guts. Maybe you had more stamina, more determination. Maybe it was more commitment or belief, and maybe even more skill. So the process shifts your perceptions, increases self-esteem, increases confidence, and up-levels your mindset, all of which changes how you feel about, quote, the work that has to be done. And you see the quote I like by Zig Ziglar on your screen. What you get by achieving your goals is not as important as what you become by achieving your goals. Oops. Tip number 4, do you want to start over again? Just the thought of that just makes me nauseous. So when you realize that each decision that you make could carry a consequence, you can begin to make maybe even better decisions when you think about that. If you spend energy and time doing the work, it doesn't take too much undoing or starting again before you discover you most certainly do not want to do something twice or even 3 times if you only have to do it once. We see this time and time again, and people who unconsciously, well, actually, sometimes they're consciously doing it, sabotage their very hard work. So they take 2 steps forward and then 3 steps back. They go to the gym only to go home and overindulge in a great bowl of their favorite ice cream. Or maybe they run 5 miles every day for 2 weeks and then spend the next 6 months being sedentary. You've seen that and heard that. Maybe that's even happened to you before. So when you realize the amount of work that goes into achieving your goals, take 2 steps forward only to take 3 steps back hardly seems worth it to me. So each day is a new opportunity to make even better choices going forward. The next time you're tempted to go back on your promise or get off track from what you're doing, stop. Just stop and ask yourself, do I want to undo all the work I've already done? Do I really want to start over again? I would say not. Okay, now what we're going to do is talk a little bit about 8 ideas to help you work smarter, not harder. So people always tell you that. Yeah, I want to work smarter, not harder. So what do we do? How do we do that? Do you think working harder will actually get you farther? Well, not really necessarily. In this fast-paced world we live in, many advisors are already running at full tilt, and you may be one of them. So going faster may lead to burnout. Maybe you've even experienced that already. Or something worse, something physical and emotional just shuts down. So how do you get more done without actually working harder? Well, this is the key, in my opinion, to work-life balance success. So let's specifically look at each one of these 8 ideas. The first one is leverage your strengths and delegate the rest. So for optimal results, focus on the tasks that leverage your personal strength. The goal with any successful advisor is to assign team members that can deliver the best results with the least effort and greatest effectiveness. If you want to make an easier go of it, really know what your strengths are and focus on performing only the tasks that leverage your personal strengths. And you want to do that for everybody within your firm. So think about in terms of what tasks people have. Sometimes they might be the wrong person to do that, so they don't get it done with the greatest efficiency. So you might give it to somebody else who's better suited for that, who performs that much better. So here's a tip. I'm going to suggest that you consider checking out a few ideas I'm going to share with you to help you and your team learn more about what your strengths actually are and how they might be best applied for increased success. So one of the first ones is, and this has been around a super long time, but I think it's really a good one. And there might be others that you're aware of as well. So you can take the Clifton Strength Finder 2.0 test. So it's a Strength Finder test. There was originally the first book, which I liked a lot better on Strength Finder. It was really good, and then a second book came out. Regardless, there's a great test in there that you can take to help you with that. I also like the Kolbe Index, and you can find that at Kolbe, and Kolbe is KOLBE.com. So it's KOLBE.com, and everybody would take and learn about a little bit what their strengths are in that. These are just a couple of ideas to help you identify what your strengths might be. Obviously, like I said, you can Google it. There's many others, I'm sure. These are just 2 that I know of that I like. Number 2 is filter your information intake. Man, on any given day, we all are bombarded with mass amounts of information that can significantly drag down our productivity. They possibly even cause confusion. Sometimes I know it's even overwhelming, and it could lead to procrastination. So data obviously is essential for making informed decisions, but really beware of information overload. I don't know if you've ever felt like that, but I do. Sometimes it's like, I just can't take in anymore. I am overflowing. So only take in the information basically that is vital to achieving your goals and the goals of your firm. Everything else is really superfluous. So to the best of your ability, you want to try to disseminate quickly the information that you really need and just get rid of all the rest. So here's a tip related to this one. Delegate the biggest information sources. So things like email, research, it could be data collection, it could be data entry, could be a number of different things. Those are just a couple examples. To a team member, whether it's internal or a virtual person. So as much as you can, get those biggest information overload types of sources to someone else. Limit your information exposure then to only the pertinent sources, while the team takes on the responsibility then for flagging important information for you to select, review, to really help the firm grow. So there's a lot of different ways to be able to do that. And if you don't currently have someone to delegate to, at this point in time, I always recommend making a list. So as you're going through your day to day, start jotting down, and I call it just a delegation list, really cool name, to just start listing, hey, someone else could do this. So when I'm in a position to hire someone else could do this, whether it's part-time or full-time. Okay, someone else could do this, or someone else could do part of this. So as you go through your day, just ask yourself, could someone else actually do this or part of this? And then just add it to the list. And then when you're in a position to do that, you can start delegating over. And if you do currently have somebody to delegate to, you can ask yourself that question now, because a lot of times I find advisors holding on to still way too many things that can be delegated to other people, again, who could do it even better, usually. Number 3, streamline your daily duties. So do not, again, try to do it all yourself. The ability to focus your energy on the most important tasks of the day has a direct effect on the quality of the results or outcomes that you're getting. So it's vital that you streamline your daily duties to only the most important tasks and activities that require your focused attention, and those things that only you can do and cannot be done by anyone else. So the tip on this is to create a daily schedule of the most important and highest payoff tasks and activities for the day, and then just stick to it. Not always easy to stick to what you've put in the calendar, but I believe it's vital and critical to your ultimate success and reaching your true potential. So reduce and eliminate the non-essential duties. So the tasks that are either not in alignment with your core values or are not income generating, revenue generating from your daily schedule as much as possible. Number 4 is recognize stress signals. So the mind and body require basically nutrition for peak performance. While many of us convince ourselves that working harder is the only way to get ahead, I don't believe it will produce the desired results in the most effective and efficient manner. So I suggest, you take breaks, enjoy personal time, an actual real vacation where you're not thinking about work, talking about work, reading about anything related to your job, and basically tend to your well-being is really important for overall just life and health success. So sometimes a little rest can significantly increase productivity. So if we're not at full capacity, with all the energy that we need for the day, we're not actually at our full potential for the day, at our full capacity. And that can make us take more time to get things done, maybe have to do them again because we didn't have our undivided attention and focus on that matter. So it can significantly impact us. Here's the tip on this one. Just listen to your body. So pay attention to your energy level. Pushing harder to make things happen may only make the process more frustrating and actually exhausting. So if working harder just doesn't feel right, which it shouldn't, give yourself permission to take a break. So it might just be 5 minutes, it might be 15 minutes, it might be an hour. But recognizing your stress signals can help you know when your body and mind just need a break. It needs a rest. It needs to unfocus for a minute. So again, I believe that you perform better and more effectively when you have all your energy there. And I've heard sleep experts say that most people go through life actually sleep deprived. So one of the things I work with on the people that I coach anyway is making sure they actually do get enough sleep. So sometimes people go to bed, let's say at 10:30, or if they just went to bed at 10, they would get the extra 30 minutes they need to feel fully rested and rejuvenated the next day to really go at it and be more effective and efficient. So sometimes it's just a simple modification to what we're doing in our daily life. You don't want to go through your life sleep deprived and be one of those people. I don't think anyway. Okay, there we go. Number 5, create just enough pressure. So how many times have you procrastinated on getting something done only to cram the day or night before it was due? You don't have to raise your hand or put that in there because a lot of us are in that boat, I know. Creating just enough pressure may be the quote tipping point to what you believe creates the focus that you think you need to reach peak productivity. Well, here's the tip on this. So pay attention to what drives you to complete a task. Does it require a non-pressured, open space environment with enough time, adequate time, lots of time, whatever that is for you? Or somewhat of a high-pressured environment to maybe get you to take action? What approach produces the best results with the least amount of stress for you? So could you plan ahead better to getting things done without being last minute or having that stress or pressure, and maybe even come up with a better outcome or product? Number 6 is maximizing high energy cycles. So following your body's natural energy cycles can actually help you produce better results with less effort. So it's a little bit like I was talking about with sleep. So for instance, some people prefer to get in a healthy workout before they start their day, while others may prefer to exercise in the afternoon. It might be in the middle of the day or even at night. Perhaps you're more sharp or on your toes and energetic first thing in the morning. My husband always tells me, he says, you wake up and you're just like, yeah, let's go. It's like, but that's my cycle. It's not his. So maybe you typically get a burst of energy in the afternoon. Maybe that's your cycle. Or perhaps you do your best work burning that midnight oil. I know I've worked with a lot of internet people, and for some reason, they have a tendency, at least people I know, to do the burning the midnight oil. That's when they work the best. So you want to follow your natural energy cycles to produce the best results with the least amount of effort. And that's obviously the ideal situation. So you have to pay attention to what your body is telling you and what you know your energy cycles to be. So here's the tip. Do the tasks or activities that require the most energy and focus during your peak energy cycle. Obviously, I'm a big fan of scheduling everything. So you schedule it and then follow what you have put on your calendar in order to be in the highest probability position to actually achieve your goals. Number 7 is organize and systematize. I actually think this is also a pretty big one that falls short of actually getting done. The goal here is with any business or profession is to produce the best results with the greatest amount of efficiency and effectiveness. I think we would all agree on that. So working smarter, not harder, to me, is about systems. So systems create reliable pathways to handle business transactions, everything you have to do, the daily duties, basically in an organized and efficient manner. Most firms, organizations don't enforce the creation of systems and processes for every job within it. Many team members push back real hard by saying they don't have enough time to create them and thinking that this is their job security. So here's the tip around this. Creating systems for everything that everybody does, including you, so that you and your team can have processes for everything from basically business prospects to client projects to could be answering the phone, it could be making a photocopy, it could be welcoming prospects into the office, everything. Systems, in my belief, are necessary to reduce work time, improve client results, grow your business, increase revenue or profits, reduce expenses, improve overall productivity, and again, help support really good work-life balance. Successful firms have systems and processes for all tasks and activities performed by all team members, and their specific systems and processes. I've had people tell me time and time again, oh yeah, we have systems and processes in our office. Well, how do you know that they work? So I certainly recommend that you have someone test them out to ensure they work. I've even had some advisors send me what their administrative people are saying is a process that they can anybody could do. So I said send them to me and let me just see if I could think through the logic path of it, if I could actually do it. So my whole philosophy is anybody should be able to flawlessly execute the process without asking any questions. So if you have to ask a question of a process, it does not work. So when I look at the processes that are created, if I don't understand how to get from point, B to point D, because they've missed a bunch of steps in between, I flag that. I put that in there because the worst thing that can happen, and this happened to an advisor that I know, he had a client when the lady left her job of like 10 years, had nothing documented, and at least nothing documented to any specificity that anybody could do her job. So she left and people were scrambling. It took days and weeks and months to get everything organized and systematized from this one person leaving after 10 years. They had nothing to look back on, and you don't want that to be you, because if there aren't systems and processes and somebody needs help, they're bothering you and distracting you from what you need to be doing by trying to help them figure out how to do it, or they're distracting other people on the team. So it's not very efficient. So a lot of times interns or kids or spouses can come in and review processes and see if they work or not. Number 8, start with the end in mind. Clarity of a desired goal is a catalyst for the straightest path to success. So you must be really crystal clear about the desired end result before you begin any task. And that's anything. Before you make any call, before you do anything, you really have to think about the end in mind. So what is the outcome that I want to create, and kind of work your way backwards. So to me, this creates the straightest and shortest path to ultimately where you want to be. If you're going to invest your valuable time, and your time is valuable, on anything you want to create, the highest probability for your success. So you have to be crystal clear. Hey, I'm investing my valuable time. I want to get this outcome. So what's the best and shortest path for me to do that? Here's the tip. Okay, it's really a no-brainer. Have a clear picture. So I suggest you outline the details on paper, on your computer. It's easier a lot of times for people to type these days. So here's the end result. Now break down that goal into bite-sized pieces and action steps, working your way backwards. So you understand what I'm talking about. So and then just ask yourself, what's the next logical step? What's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? So if I want to get this result, what do I have to start with? Where do I have to start? And then what's my next step? What's my next step? What's my next step? And be specific. What can I do right now to move closer to this desired result? And it helps you think of things that you maybe not have thought of before when you actually lay it down and outline it. So here's an example. And I have this happen a lot of times over the years when I'm working with advisors. So you want to calculate the revenue opportunity that you have in your pipeline of people that you already know about. So here's what my current revenue opportunity in the pipeline that I have. What do you think the revenue of each person is, for example? So if I'm selling them this particular product, then it's this revenue. This person, it's this particular product, it's this revenue or this service or whatever it is. So it's a plan or it's a product or it's whatever it might be. Then based on your goal between here and the end of the year, what's the gap? So here's what I think is in the pipeline and what's my gap. And what's my gap that I need to then create a game plan for filling that gap. So a lot of people just haven't done this and haven't really laid it out before, which always perplexes me. It's like, okay, if your goal for the year is this and you've done this, here's what I need to do. So where's my opportunity? Oh my gosh, I never really thought of it that way. So you lay it all out with what the opportunity is. Then you say, okay, well, where's the gap money going to come from? Where's the revenue going to come from? So you have to come up with a game plan to fill the gap. So who do you need to speak to? How many referrals do you need to get? What will you actually do? What has to occur for you to add more people to the pool? And keep in mind, you always want more opportunities in the pipeline than you need because things fall short, right? So this one might only have a 20% probability and this one might have a 60% probability, and you're always working to move it to 100%, but sometimes things don't happen on your timeline like you'd like them to. That happens to all of us. So we always have to have more, and a general rule of thumb is 5 times. So if I need this amount of revenue between now and the end of the year, then I do that times 5, and that's what has to be in my pipeline. Now, I have some people that have said, well, Ann, I think it's really 2 times or 2.5 times or 3 times. Doesn't matter, but it's something greater than typically, just what you need. So it's some multiple of that. So come up with what you need that to be. So remember, creating better results isn't about working harder. So focus on continual action in the right direction will help you really work smarter about this and actually not harder. Okay. Now, what we're going to talk about is the 6 tips for getting more clients without working harder. So most advisors experience a critical stage in their business where they need to consistently build their client base, yet they don't have the necessary, quote, time or resources to devote to serving more clients. So how do you get more clients without working harder? Because you're probably already working hard enough, and working harder isn't really physically possible, or it's not even feasible. So tip number 1 here is create information resources. And you might take one of these that I'm going to suggest, or a part of one of these, or parts of 2 of these, and put something together. So just be open-minded to what we're talking about and think how you could apply this in your business, because maybe you haven't really thought about it before. Your business has a powerful point of leverage that can be used to find and keep more clients. And in this example, it's information. So create possibly free and low-cost channels through which you can introduce yourself and your business without significant time or effort invested on the back end. So this is what could be called as a create it and leave it method that creates not only more avenues for prospects to learn about you, but also expands your market reach and then possible additional revenue. So the goal here is to create hands-off, low-touch methods to allow prospects the opportunity to basically know, like, and trust you. And as we all know, this process does take time and effort. So by providing these hands-off, low-touch resources, you'll free up your time, which will boost revenue because you'll have more time to focus on the clients who you already work with now and getting obviously more referrals from them. So some examples of this could be things like downloadable information products, such as an ebook, a special report, a white paper, a checklist that would be useful to a prospect. It could be just a simple checklist. It could be a blog that you do or recommend. It could be some free articles. And remember, some of these things don't have to be authored by you. They could be authored by someone else, but they're of value to your prospects. It could be, an audio podcast. It could be a free webinar, for example, like we're doing today. Tip number 2, stand out. So to get the attention of your best and ideal prospects, you obviously need to stand out from everybody else. Easier said than done. Everyday information isn't unique information. So you have to show your ideal prospects what makes you different from others in your industry. So it could be things like be willing to share personal and professional experiences and lessons that you've learned from those experiences. You have a unique perspective that separates you from a lot of other people. So when you share what makes you different and your unique perspective, it becomes easier for your ideal prospects to identify with you as opposed to identifying with other people. So here are some examples of this. Your unique experience could be your unique selling point. So your USP, as you probably know it. You are your greatest unique selling point or USP. So what makes you do what it is you do is unique to you. What do you personally bring to the table that really nobody else does the way you do it, the way you're able to do it? So, for example, many people who offer coaching services, which there's a lot these days, everybody in the world is a freaking coach. A lot of them go to coaching school to learn to be a coach, where I personally teach what I created and help take my husband's business actually from about 200,000 to 1.5 million in a very short period of time. So in other words, I have an actual experience that many coaches don't have in growing a business. That's unique to me compared to most coaches that I've heard about or talked to or that people have told me about. So what's your value promise? It's not a proposition, it's a promise. What's your value promise? What do you promise? What do you deliver? That's, your value promise that could be, again, unique to how you deliver it. Tip number 3, create low touch, high volume programs. So a common mistake possibly among advisors is spending too much time on non-paying prospects and low-end existing clients or customers, as I would probably call them. This is you if you find your schedule is maxed out and you're not creating enough revenue or the revenue that you really desire. The solution is to create a way to reach low-end clients that does not require a direct exchange of your time or effort. So create free and low-end solutions like the ones I mentioned earlier in tip number 1, where you can reach a larger pool of prospects and paying clients without having to work harder. And it's amazing to me how a lot of times advisors don't really realize, how much time is being spent on the lower end customers. So I usually have people create an annual reoccurring revenue exercise. So it's basically, what's my annual reoccurring revenue for every client? And I don't know if you've done that, but it's an exercise that if you haven't, you might be very surprised. The first time I did this with an advisor, he had 1,243 customers, and he showed me his list of pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of 0, 0, 0, 1 cent, 1 cent, 1 cent, 2 cent, 2 cent, 5 cents, 15 cents. So what he came up with was that of his 1,243 customers, he had 17 that he thought were really good clients that he could elevate his value promise to then have them just be kind of starting over his clients, and then he could replicate all those 17 people by getting referrals from them to the rest of his client community, which ended up being 91. So it's just being really clear on what that is and how to then deliver it. So an example of this might be you can sign up for my free silver membership Inner Circle. It's free, as I mentioned, and you get advantages of a lot of complimentary online resources and tools, like creating an ideal client profile. There's an exercise on there for you to hone your clients to those that you best serve, and then you can replicate those. It's got a wheel of life, so it's just a personal perspective, and then it helps you create goals around, hey, my wheel is out of balance, so what do I need to do to get my wheel of life more in balance? There's some free articles, and there's other valuable resources and tools when people sign up for this free inner circle. Plus, it gives people 10% off on anything they would invest in. So it's basically, some other examples could be interviews with subject matter experts who provide value to your clients. And by that, I mean, it could be a simple, quick interview, 10 minutes, 15 minutes of maybe a real estate person who would, what would they do to help provide value to your clients? So what kind of information could they provide? What about a mortgage broker? What about, your CPA or an attorney or a healthcare professional or a nutritionist? So these are all subject matter experts that would provide value to your existing clients and potential prospects. It could be a short how-to audio. It could be, again, a checklist that would help somebody. Also, again, it could be a white paper or a book. And these are things that you don't have to actually write or do. It could be something that you just invest in, or something that's of value that you found that you'd like to duplicate. It could be the values-based quality of life newsletter. That's a monthly newsletter that there's nothing in it financial. It's all about people having a great quality of life that Backrack and Associates provides at a super minimal investment. So again, it's just constantly being in front of potential people and your existing clients that gives them something of value. Okay. Tip number 4 is create high-touch, low-volume programs. So your unique experience and personal attention are the greatest points of leverage in your business. So some clients obviously don't want a self-study program. They want personal attention and someone that they trust who has their back. So a unique combination of your personal and professional experiences allows you to bring a unique perspective and possibly some unique information to your clients. So leverage it to create a high-end solution that provides individual or small group attention to the top level clients or top level ideal client prospects. So some examples of this would be a live event or seminar, and I recommend nothing financial in the live event or seminar. Again, it's all about helping people have a great life, a great quality of life, because you've got their back because you handle all their financials. This could be like a client appreciation event. And I think client appreciation events are great because you can invite, for example, your top 5 to 10 clients and then tell them that they have a table of 8 to fill at your event, so that they then are on a mission to fill those seats with people they like, who then are very good prospective clients for you. So client appreciation events can be super great to get this approach accomplished. Tip number 5, honor your core values. If you're working too hard and still not generating the revenue that you desire, maybe it could be as simple as you're not honoring your core values. So these core values, when sacrificed, actually can create disharmony. It can create frustration. It can create struggle in your life and your business. So honoring your core values, you basically then can create flow. You create it with ease, and it helps you overall with your success. So know your core values and adjust your business model accordingly. If there's a disconnect there may not be, but if there is, adjust that. So the key here is to learn from, maybe other successful business people, and then put your own spin on it. So what are they doing? How are they doing it? And here's my spin, but it's in alignment with your core values. When you honor your core values, I think you'll find maybe even the magic formula that allows you to work the way that it best works for you. And I believe also in turn, your clients will also be even better served. So you can actually go to There's a URL actually on your screen that you can download. It's a complimentary values clarification exercise to help you get maybe even clearer on exactly what your values are. So it's a really cool little exercise that if you've ever done anything like this before, you'll still get value from it. Again, if you haven't done it in a long time, if you've never done it before, it'll be a really nice exercise for you to go through. Some examples. So let's say freedom is one of your core values and you're actually tied to the desk all day. So perhaps one of your core values is family, yet you need to work long hours to generate the revenue you need to support your family. So it's easy to see how ignoring the values that are most important to you can possibly be a source then of your frustration or even an internal struggle. So we want to get that in alignment if it's not. Tip number 6 is follow your inspiration. So getting more clients doesn't necessarily, remember, mean working harder. We're trying to avoid that. When you're designing ways for more clients to work with you, follow your inspiration. Follow what feels good, what excites you. Be innovative and be creative. Keep in mind, just because it hasn't been done before doesn't mean that it can't be done now. So examples, just, get creative, be open. A lot of people talk about, thinking outside the box. Some people hate that expression, but some people like it. So just think about, what that could be for you. Ask yourself some questions like, if I could work any way I wanted to, what would that look like? How would I spend my day? How many days per week would I actually work? How would I like to interact with ideal clients or ideal prospective clients? What things are done best during certain times of the day that produce the best result? Again, thinking about your energy cycles. Am I maximizing the time that's available? Most people don't. Most people waste a lot of time during the day. So not doing things that really are moving them forward. Am I leveraging all the resources possible to help me achieve my goals? So sometimes we have resources that we don't really take advantage of or leverage that can help us. Okay. Personally, it's unfathomable to me that you would want to be happy with just moderate success. Some people are, but it just doesn't work for me in my world. So some advisors tend to relax once they've earned a certain amount of money, and that might be okay for them. Having spent so much time and effort getting your business to this level where it is right now, why not just take it all the way to the top? Why not just go there? When you know you have more potential, why not just go the extra step, the extra mile, the extra little bit that maybe is all it takes to get you to ultimately where you truly want to believe and believe that you're tapping your true and total potential. Now, obviously, it's not easy to take a business to the top, or there would be a lot of people already there. So, with the intense cutthroat competition, making your mark can be a little difficult. Yet, if you know what it takes, you can work towards this. And we've talked about a lot of things during our time together that you can use and implement that can help you with these. So what we're going to do now is just talk about 7 things that you can apply to help you take your business all the way to the top. Number 1 is a solid business plan that actually gets executed. So a solid business plan, obviously, is a must for any and all businesses. So as you are the person in charge, you are the one responsible for formulating and executing the business plan. So the business plan really is just simply a blueprint for you to follow for running your business. There's even some that I've seen, and you can Google this, but I've even seen some people that said, business plan doesn't have to be a long dissertation. I've seen a lot that they're calling it a 2-page business plan. So it can be very short. It doesn't have to be a whole, notebook full of, in the old days, people used to talk about a business plan, and in terms of that it had to be a big, huge notebook. You can actually condense it down into, and I've seen people do this, into 2 pages. It should lay out the goals that you want to achieve and the next level that you want your business to reach. So once you have a business plan, the next step is to consistently, obviously, execute it every single day, one day at a time. So too many plans end up filed away until next year, where you dust it off, pull it out, and wonder why you didn't execute what you took the time to create last year. I've had too many people tell me that that's happened to them. So we don't want that to happen to you. So we want to create something that's easily manageable that you can actually put into play and follow it every single day. Number 2 is a clear vision. A solid business plan is virtually impossible to create unless you have a clear vision of where you see your business in the near future. So again, it's kind of like talking about begin with the end in mind. So here's where I ultimately want to be. Now I got to work my way backwards. What do I need to do today, tomorrow, next week, next month, etc. So this means that you have to visualize the goal that you've set for your business, complete with the time and resources that it requires to actually achieve them. So there's a difference between having a clear vision for your business and basically daydreaming. So you have to make sure that you don't fall into the daydreaming category. So some people, I even tell my husband, I said, are you on the holodeck now? Am I supposed to is this real, or is it just holodeckish? So we have to have a clarity about what's real and what's really not. So we're not daydreaming. So my husband actually has a free complimentary course that it just became available that I think would really help you with this if you need some extra clarity and vision. He even presented it to a group of kids in college, and they were just totally stoked about this, and they hadn't ever done or thought about anything like this before. But basically, it's an online course. It's free that talks about your ideal business. What does that look like? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? What's going on with that? And what's your ideal life look like? And then what's your ideal clients? What do they look like? So you want to be able to replicate them. So it's really thinking through, and it's just short little segments within the course, and there's 3 of them. Obviously, the ideal business, the ideal life, and the ideal client profile has little courses underneath it to help you go through that thought process. But if you haven't done anything, and even if you have, I think you'll find this super beneficial. And again, there's no charge for it, at least for now. It's all complimentary, and the URL is on your screen. Number 3 is passion and commitment. So I hope this goes without saying. You have to be committed wholeheartedly to your business. That is why it's important to make your business your passion. Otherwise, it's difficult to make a lasting commitment with it. So passion and commitment are the 2 things that will carry you during the tough times when your business maybe needs you the most. If you lack these 2 qualities, you will have a hard time lifting your business out of where it is today. So I want to, get it up to the next level. But if I don't really have that passion, that why, and the commitment, it's going to be very hard to do that. So you need to make sure you have those things. And we've talked about some tools and things that will help you with that today. Number 4 is courage and self-belief. Again, 2 more qualities you must have for taking your business to the top is courage and self-belief. So you have to be courageous enough to take risks, perhaps, with your business. And maybe you do that now. Maybe you have to increase a little bit the risk to get the outcome that you're looking for. Oftentimes, people give up on potentially profitable opportunities just because they lack the courage. So courage stems from self-belief, having complete faith in your ability to make decisions about your business and being convinced that that is the best. They are the best. It's possible you can find much more success with courage and self-belief, and just maybe it has to be increased from where it is today. Okay. Coming down the home stretch. Number 5 is accountability. And in my opinion, accountability is often an ignored part of running a successful business. Being the person in charge, it's easy to get carried away and absolve yourself of all your sins and mistakes, so to speak. This is why it's important to hold yourself accountable to all the decisions that you have to make and the actions that you take. If you're not accountable to yourself, you cannot expect to do the same with the people that are on your team. So self-accountability will help make you a great role model for your employees and your team members. And it will help them start learning how to hold themselves accountable, and you can actually create a process to help hold them accountable to actions or inactions as well. So if you aren't good at self-accountability, which actually truthfully many people aren't, very few people are, you can always ask a peer or two to hold you accountable. So maybe you create a peer group. So you can obtain some ideas on how to create accountability groups. If you go to my website at accountabilitycoach.com, under the coaching tab, there's a coaching option tab, and they'll give you some samples there of how to create groups. And I think there's even maybe some sample agendas or things to talk about within that. So I always recommend accountability in some form. Sometimes it's just giving your administrative manager permission, because they're sometimes afraid that they'll lose their job if they do what they need to do to help hold you accountable to what you need to do and only you can do to achieve the goals. 6 is flexibility. A rigid attitude and mindset is the last thing anybody really needs. So you have to, and you know this, you have to be flexible if you want to take your business to the top and really stay there. Oftentimes, there'll be a time when you're required to make compromises, perhaps. But you have to remember that it's all for the benefit of your business and is something that maybe you need to do. So be flexible and learn to adapt to the circumstances. Number 7 is the right people. So you can't honestly expect to take your business to the top on your own. I think everybody knows that. You need to have the right structure in place for yourself to really prosper. So this is only possible if you have the right people working for you. I don't know if it's Brian Tracy or who says this, you have to have the right people in the right seat on the bus going in the right direction. So that's what everybody needs to have. So you need to work on your hiring process, perhaps, and only recruit the people you believe that fit into your vision and share your passion. This way you can expect them to put in their best effort to help you make your business successful. There are some of the things, these are actually some of the things that you need to take your business to the top and help you stay there. Now, it can be a long journey, but the feeling that you get when you reach the top is basically indescribable. It will be well worth any effort and all effort that you actually put into it. So we've come to almost the top of our hour, and you're probably thinking, okay, now that I know the 6 tips for getting more clients without working harder, what do I do? What's my next logical step? Well, I recommend highly that you schedule time to watch and listen to this program again. The slides and the webinar recording will be made available to you typically within a couple of days. So you receive an email with a link when it's ready. And you know what it's like when you watch a movie a second or third time and you see things that you missed the first time? Well, personally, I believe repetition is typically a good thing. So schedule the time to make sure and implement. Hopefully you wrote down some good action ideas that can help you take your business to the next level. So you're really applying the tips for getting more clients without working harder. So if you got value from our time together today, you might want to check out the 30 Days on the Path to Success. So applying the concepts in this program, again, are basic business success principles that help you really lay a foundation from which to grow on. So do you really understand everything you're doing or not doing to get the results you're getting or not getting? And these are basic business success principles that successful very successful advisors apply every single day into their practice and their life. So it's only $97. And when you join the free silver membership, again, you can take that 10% off. There's a code that you get. So it's really only $87.30. So there's a URL on the screen right now. You can check out the other programs and resources available also on accountabilitycoach.com that are available to you. I certainly do appreciate InsuranceWebX for inviting me to share these proven concepts with you today, and the replay will be made available to you in a few days. So if you take a look at your screen, you'll see the URL here. This is where it will be. So you'll get an email, like I said, with the URL, but that will be on your screen. You might want to subscribe to my iTunes podcast. Those are free, obviously, my YouTube channel with some free videos that are simple ideas or concepts that you can apply in your business to help you. I do a blog. I don't blog a ton, but I do some blogs and I do share other people's ideas that I think would be valuable to people. Certainly connect with me on LinkedIn or Facebook. And again, the free course that my husband created on your ideal life, your ideal business, and your ideal client profile, your ideal client profile is on the bottom URL. So continue to let me know how else I can assist you on your goal achievement journey so that you can have the kind of business that you truly want and deserve. Have a great rest of your week, and thanks for joining us today. Bye for now.